Morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to speak with you today. Um, my topic, of course, as the slide says, is the Tao of Calm, a cautionary tale. And you might wonder, well, why is it a cautionary tale? And my thinking on that is, well, in every moment of our lives, we have the choice to either be calm or to not be calm. And choosing to not be calm, some of us don't even know we're choosing not to be calm. I didn't know. I didn't know how uncalm I was until I started studying the Tao. But it comes at a price. It can, not being calm can damage your relationships. Um, and it makes life difficult and hard to live. And I know full well about that because I did it wrong, and I still do it wrong from time to time, but the Tao certainly helps me do it. So I've never, as Derek said, I haven't met everyone here before, so I want to introduce myself a little bit. That's me on the left, and that beautiful woman to the right of me there is my wife, Wendy. And she's my soulmate, my heart and soul. She knows me better than anyone. She knows when I'm failing and when I'm succeeding. And she encourages me when I'm succeeding, and when I'm failing, she sets me straight. And so I'm so happy I have her in my life. When this picture was taken, she was pregnant with our first child together. And that child is now 3.5 years old. And there she is on the right. That's Ellie. And what can I say? The picture says it all. She's just the joy of my life. And or at least she was for 2.5 years, and then she had to share that spot because I got another joy in my life, and that's my son Christopher. So I'm a very lucky man, as you can see from that, but I didn't used to always think so. It wasn't really until I started to get calm that I realized how great life can be, and now instead of thinking of myself as an unfortunate man, I consider myself, I try to be grateful for all the things I have. Okay, so back to the Tao of Calm. And I want to talk a little bit about true tranquility. And as some of you might recognize this, it's actually a title of a story that Derek wrote. And it appears in one of his books, and that book is The Tao of Success. And it's a great book. I'm sure many of you have read it. And if you haven't read it, you may have heard Derek tell the story that I'm going to illustrate today. And that story goes something like this. So there's an emperor, and he feels the stress of running the state, and he wants to be able to look at a painting to help him calm down. So he asks his aide to, he says he wants to commission a painting. He wants the title to be True Tranquility, and the aide says, sure, no problem. He gets 3 of the best artists of China that he can find, and each of them make a painting. And it's, the paintings are done, and it's time for the emperor to look, and so the first painting is a picture of a still lake and a mountainous scene, kind of like the one I put up here, I'm sure. And the emperor says, wow, that's really beautiful. And let's take a look at the second painting. So the second painting, it's a scene right after a snowfall. And the emperor says, wow, that's really good too. And then his aide goes to reveal the third painting, and it's this raging waterfall. And the aide says, I'm sorry. Obviously, the artist didn't understand what you were looking for. Let me take this one down, and you can choose from the first 2. And the emperor says, no way. This is the painting for me. And the reason why he says that is because he has clarity. He realized something that most people may not have noticed at looking at that painting, and that was that there was a tree by the waterfall and a branch extending over the waterfall, and inside that branch there was a nest, and inside that nest there was a bird sleeping. And so he realized, if I want to be calm, I have to be calm in my life, which rages like a waterfall. And so he decides that's going to be the painting for him. The story is simple to tell, and Derek tells it much better, but I'm sort of wanted to shorten it just to get the grand strokes of it. But there's a teaching, of course, of this story, and that's the different levels of being calm. So the lake scene with the mountains, it's calm on the surface, but of course, we know under a lake there's all kinds of things going on. There's currents, there's fish swimming around living their life, So it's anything but calm underneath, but it's just calm on the surface. And sometimes that's all we can muster in life. There's times where we feel like we're upset and enraged, but we have to present ourselves to the world in a professional way. So sometimes we have to fake being calm, and that happens from time to time. And of course, the second painting, the snowscape, is a sort of a deeper level of calm in that it's not just on the surface, it's calm all the way through. But the problem with that kind of calm depicted is that it's transient, it's fleeting. It doesn't stay that way. The snowfall will begin again, and the calmness is disrupted. And then, of course, that last one, the one the emperor shows with the waterfall raging and the sleeping bird. I mean, to me, that sleeping bird is that Tao sage, that no matter what's going on, he can be asleep and be calm. And that's kind of our goal. Our goal is to be the bird. So, so having said that, one of the things, if you set out to try to make yourself more calm, one of the good things to do is sort of figure out how you're not calm. And so what I've done here is on the left and right, I'm going to show uncalm versus calm. So uncalm, so the first thing I have down is when we're uncalm, we tend to blame others for our problems. But when we're calm, we accept responsibility for our lives. In order to do that, you have to be able to see yourself and come to a realization that, you know what, every problem in your life, we're the author of it. Because, we set up our life. We're responsible for it. We're responsible for our lives. And it's a good thing because you can't change the raging waterfalls in your life. You just can't. All you can change is your reaction to the raging waterfalls in your life. And getting calm is the first step toward doing that. Okay, so the second thing. When we're uncalm, we tend not to listen to other people. The people that love us, we take for granted that they love us, and we just don't listen, or we listen briefly. We don't really give them our full attention. Versus when you're calm, you do take the time to listen. You don't think about the next thing you want to say, or just ignore it because you're busy doing something else. You really take time to listen to people. And this is powerful. It really is, because it'll change your life if you can start doing it. And it's a struggle. You can't always do it. I know I can't always do it, but I try to do it. And I've noticed sometimes when I've been successful, I get great results from listening, really listening in a calm way. Okay, so the third thing. So when we're uncalm, sometimes we worry about things in life that we can't control. And there's lots of things, of course, that we can't control, like the raging waterfalls. It might be you can't control what your children are going to do. You can't control how your career is going to go. There's just a myriad of things that we can't control. We worry about it. But when we are able to get calm, we let go of our worries and we trust in the Tao. And that's having faith. Have faith in the calm that you're striving for, and you'll have great results. Okay, so here's another one. We find that we're often in a rush to get our tasks in life completed. And it's not to be confused with being quick and efficient. I used to have a basketball coach, and he would say to us, be quick, but don't hurry. And I always think of that when I find myself rushing around endlessly and being uncalm. I think of my coach and what he said. Be quick, but don't hurry. Be efficient, live your life skillfully, but don't rush around all the time. And when you're calm, of course, you take life slowly and you let things unfold naturally. And when in the moments in my life when I've been able to do this, it's uncanny how things tend to fall into place. It's like when Bill says, the Tao it's time tested. The methodology, the teachings of the Iguan Tao, the three treasures, all the teachings that Derek gives every week, the techniques for getting calm, which Ed shares with us. All of those things make up the Tao, the Tao that we want, the one that will transform our lives into something wonderful. Okay, here's one thing I should say too. This list I'm making here, it's not exhaustive by any means. It's just a few things that came up at the top of my head. Okay, so the fifth one, we eat too fast. that might be a sign that we're not calm. And if we can get calm during meals, well, then we can eat at the right pace and enjoy those meals more. We can do that. And the sixth one is we have road rage. And I have some personal experience with this one because I used to have a very long commute. I live in the Inland Empire, and I used to commute to LAX. And, in the morning it wasn't so bad. It'd be like maybe 1.5 hours. Coming home sometimes, especially on a Friday, which is the day you really want to get home, it could take 3 or 4 hours to get home. And I mean, I didn't have outrageous road rage, but it was uncomfortable for sure. And getting calm allowed me to find ways to turn that bad situation into good ones. And I'm going to specifically use this one because I want to share some ideas because I have experience with this. If you find yourself in a long commute and it's tough and you just feel terrible or feel like, I'm stuck, I'm going 1 mile an hour, this is awful. Here's some things that I tried that worked for me. One is books on tape. If you're going to be in a car for a long time, you can turn your car into a learning machine, turn a negative into a positive, and you're still going to be sitting in traffic for 4 hours, but you might learn something while you're doing it. And if you're not the kind of person who wants to learn something because you know what, this is the wrong time to learn it because I'm tired from working all day, or something like that, well, you can read a novel, go to audible.com, get a novel, maybe your favorite novel, and listen to it. And that can help calm you. And of course, you can listen to music, whatever kind of music you like, that helps. It's right there in the car. We all have, I'm sure most of us probably have music at our disposal in the car. And then the other thing you could do, and I did this too, especially in the beginning, I would download the Tao meetings that the various people who've put those together over the year and made them available. I'm so grateful to those people. I know Jeff Vosberg does it and has done it, and there were others before him. And forgive me because I can't remember their names, but I'm so grateful to those people because they really helped me in my journey by taking the time to do that, because I was able to download them, I could put them on in the car, and I could listen to a topic that ultimately transformed my life and still does to this day, so I have a long way to go. Okay, so I'm going to start to sum it up here. So in order to make positive transformation in your life, it's good to visualize the calm stage that you want to be. How are we all going to become that bird sleeping peacefully in the nest, even though the waterfalls of life rage around us? How are we going to do that? So you sort of visualize yourself being that way, being calmer. And then you have to kind of be brutally honest with yourself about how you're not calm. Look at all the things. Do we listen to others when they speak? Do we blame others for our problems? Those are the two real big ones. That's why I put those first. So you have to be brutally honest we have to be brutally honest with ourselves about how we're not quite getting it right. And then we need to come up with strategies for getting calmer. Like the road rage example I just gave. But whatever the strategies are, it will come to you when you're ready to really take the next step. It'll come to you. And then, of course, you have to put those strategies into action. A lot of people, I think, especially in the West, are under this impression that, well, the Tao is everything. It's about non-action, and distrust of the Tao, have faith in it, and that's all you got to do. The Tao will transform you, and you don't have to do anything. But no, that's not really true. If you want the stuff to work, you have to make an effort. You have to have a goal, and you have to work towards it. You have to think up strategies and do your best to put them into action. And when you do that, when you are able to do that, great things will happen in your life. This week, I think largely because I was putting this presentation together throughout the week. I know I'd tweaked it several times, and as I was doing it, I'm writing up these things about it, and I'm like, I rededicated myself to putting these things into action. And I'll tell you, it's amazing the results in my life. Just by me putting this presentation together, it forced me to spend a week dedicating myself more to being calm. And just doing that, even for just really focusing more than I do. I mean, I know being calm is the first step. I've known that for a long time, but I really sort of focus on it. And I can tell you, this week, problems that I normally get upset about tended to go away because I reminded myself to be calm. Things that I'm doing a lot of home improvement right now. I'm at my mother-in-law's cabin, and she just moved in here, and we're doing a lot of things. And usually when I do a home improvement, I have to take 50 trips to the Home Depot to get all the stuff I need. But when I calm down, I notice that I can take one trip and take my time and figure out what are the things I need, think it out. What are the tools I need, and it saves tons of time. So absolutely wonderful. So so once we've done that, once we've visualized the stage we want to be, we've been honest with each other about ourselves, about how we're not measuring up to being calm, come up with strategies for being calm, put those into action, then we get this. We get to reap the benefits of our success. And don't get discouraged if when you first start out it doesn't come right away, because we fail in life sometimes. But failure is a lesson. If we learn from our failures, if we choose to learn from our failures, we can make things better. And so, as Derek has often taught me, it's good to remember that failure sets up success. So I want to thank all of you for giving me a chance to speak with you today. I hope something I said was of help. And we're about at we're at about 10:50, so I almost hit the nail on the head there. But so thank you all so much.
Thank you, Alex. Alex, I have to say, first of all, when I saw the topic initially, I thought, of course, I thought naturally Alex should be the one to talk about this because you're one of the people that I know that who is, I think, calm at all times. I guess I've just never seen you as anything other than totally calm. It's actually kind of hard for me to imagine you uncalm or having road rage. That's very difficult for me to compute. At the same time, I also think that probably parenting is the ultimate test of calmness. Of course, I would not know from firsthand experience. I don't have kids myself. I do know I am surrounded by Tao cultivators who are parents. Sitting next to me, not too far away, is Chris, my friend Chris, who is like you, Alex. He's always calm, and he's a parent. I think when I asked him before about, do the kids ever get to you, and he would, in very typical fashion of a Tao cultivator, he would be like, no. But I also think that was before, the little girls turned into teenagers, and before they brought home the boyfriends to meet them, and that's probably.
Yeah. It's funny. I have small children now, but I'm actually on my second marriage. My first marriage, I had teenagers, so I know that's coming, and I have a little bit of experience with it. But it's funny what you said about, I think you're right. Children are the biggest test to your calm. And I have a theory on that. I don't know if it's right, but this is my theory, and I'll share it with you. Especially when they're your own children, your biological children. Because to an extent, you're really wrapped up in it more. With my other children, I was an adoptive parent, so it was a little bit different. But when it's your own children, your ego really wants to get in on it. And like I have small children, so they're still in the throw your temper tantrum stage, And my wife and I, we're both calm people generally, but dealing with the temper tantrum is really tough. And we just recently we attended a homeschooling conference. We're going to homeschool our children, and we attended these seminars, and we got some great strategies on how to deal with temper tantrums. But I think why it's so hard, why children are such a challenge to the calm is because they're little versions of you in a way. And so your ego gets really strong about it, especially if your kid throws a temper tantrum in a store. You know, I
Mhm.
may know how to handle it at home, but man, when it's in the store, I'm like, oh no, everyone's looking, you know, they're gonna think I'm the worst parent ever, or whatever it is. And I think that's
Yeah,
why children are such a challenge to our
yeah, you could be right. Um, Other examples of Tao cultivators who are parents, our next presenter, Ed, he's a parent, and also Bill, of course, has been a parent for many years and can probably talk a lot about that. I do notice the commonality that among the people, like yourself, Alex, like them, who have the Tao in their lives, that they're able to face some of the most trying situations with composure. So, and what you're saying about kids, chip off the old block, quote unquote. I think that's quite true. I think ego can get into it. I definitely see parents being very invested in their kids. They see reflections of themselves in their kids. And by the way, another comments that I wanted to offer is that I think everyone, if you see this presentation and you notice how how the inner cultivation of Alex comes to the foreground, I have noticed that the people who are willing to share what they have learned, they tend to be the ones that advanced the most, at the most rapid pace, the deeper insights, and I think it's no accident. And I think, when Alex was putting together the presentation himself, he experienced it firsthand, and that is, in order to, in order to organize your thoughts in a way that it would be easily digestible by other people, you first have to be so clear on it. You have to get it so perfectly lined up in your mind, and that actually has a really beneficial effect. If you have to do this on a regular basis, then that, I think, becomes an engine of spiritual advancement. So I want to encourage everyone to think about the possibility of doing this every now and then, whether in this setting, through the internet, or in real life, when you are together with a group of people that who can benefit from your experience. Think of it, think of yourself as a scout or trailblazer. You've already gone certain places. You know the lay of the land. You're in a position to advise people on the pitfalls to avoid, which way to go, little tips and tricks. It's of great value to everyone, perhaps more than you anticipate. So, uh, oh, and Alex, I'd like to relay some feedback from the internet for you. So, my good friend Elaine says, thank you for the lessons. I really enjoyed your lesson, the Tao of Calm, and also she says, I totally agree with you when it comes to children, definitely. So a question um, from Robert, Alex, how do you be calm when others don't do what they said and result in problems for oneself?
I'm sorry, I missed the middle of that because the audio broke up. Could you repeat that one more time for me, Derek?
Absolutely. Question from Robert is how to be calm when others don't do what they said and result in problems for oneself.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough one, really. But I guess it sort of comes down to one of the things I think I communicated in the talk, and that's that uh, being calm is your choice. It's not other people's choice. And if you let that person, the way that person is, make you uncalm, they own you. And so sometimes just thinking of that, I'm not going to be owned by someone who um, isn't very nice or doesn't have integrity or whatever the myriad of things that that person is, the problems that that person has. I think the best thing to do is just sort of focus on you because you can't change others. You can't, like I said, you can't change the raging waterfall. all you have power over is how you're going to react. And I will say that having an understanding of others, if there's someone who's really bothering you, sometimes it helps to share common ground. And it may not be immediately easy to see what the common ground would be, but sometimes if you distrust the process, you'll share some common ground. Like if someone who doesn't have integrity, they don't do what they say they're going to do, it can be really upsetting, especially say in a work environment where you're counting on people to help you finish a project and you assign something to an employee and they say they're going to do it and then they don't. That's really upsetting. And it's a challenge to our calm. But challenges to our calm are what helps make us calmer. Every time we have a problem where we're challenged to be calm, we're growing. And I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head. For me, the number one thing that you said that really stood out for me is that calmness is a decision that you make for yourself. So that decision that you make doesn't have dependency clauses built into it, like I will decide to be calm if everyone keeps their word to me. If that was a precondition for my calmness, I will probably never be calm because I can see many possible situations where people will break a promise, go back on their words, break faith basically with me, and that can set me into a tailspin of rage if my calmness was dependent on them. I can probably never change who they are and how they are and what they are at the pace with which they evolve. So I really have to look to myself for calmness and not look to the behavior of other people to somehow, one way or another, result in my calmness. That, to me, is actually a losing proposition. Alex, another feedback from you, from Tim, loved it. Loved it, Al. Thanks for taking the time to prepare the presentation.
Oh, thank you so much. It was truly my pleasure. I really enjoyed doing it, and I tell you, I wanted to share how the Tao has changed my life. And in doing so, I feel like I benefited so much because, like Derek said, when you have to put your thoughts together about a topic in a simple way, it really, you think it through and through. And just putting it together, I think, helped me reach greater understanding. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Let me give you the final 3 comments from online. From Worku, powerful statements. They own you. When you allow other people to compromise and I totally agree with Worku here. When people assume the role of controlling your calmness, they own you. So why should that be? Why should we allow that to happen? Worku, absolutely, very powerful statement. And also, I see something very insightful from my friend Larry. Disappointment with others is often disappointment with oneself, i.e., unrealistic expectations and not expecting what you expect. When you go into a situation and you assume people are other than what they truly are, you set yourself up for disappointment. So, Larry, very insightful. And finally, from Bibi, I may bloat my ego and think that I am calm and have things all together, and then my wonderful son can give me one phone call. By the time I get out the phone, he's my greatest teacher to show me that I have so much more to go to be calm. And so the symbolic metaphor of the bird, resting peacefully in that waterfall, have it all together, etc. So BD, I think, is referencing the extreme challenge of maintaining calmness with children in the mix. So my hat is off to parents everywhere. You guys do an incredible job. So you are far braver than I. Don't have kids and have to sort of live the adventure of parenting through you vicariously. Thank goodness. So the Tao of Calm, what a great topic. Alex, thank you once again.
Thank you.